This is Dustin with TWPD. Today we're going to be repairing an iPad mini. The only reason why we're doing these videos is just to show our other techs on how to do it and show you the different techniques that TWPD uses. Nothing too special here. Alright, so we're going to dive into this. I'm going to set my heat gun to 950 degrees with a little pointy tip on this Wagner heat gun. Nothing too special. I just start off top. Make sure your iPad's off. That's pretty important, especially on the iPad mini here. This is the mini 1. The mini 2 is really similar, just has less screws, so really nothing too special. So what we're going to do is just get this nice and warm, hot to the touch, and so that way we can open up this iPad. We want to try to avoid touching the screen here, so that way we don't burn the LCD, and that's the whole point of the directed heat. Now, if it has this up here, white or black, along with the metal frame, that means it has antenna connectors for the LTE capabilities. So you got to watch out for those antennas when digging in. Just make sure you don't clip them, because if you do, then we have to replace them and we don't have to do that. So I get a little over hot to touch just because the iPad minis are pretty stubborn to open up. I try to go for the area with less cracks, but sometimes that can't be avoided. So you just have to do your best. So start right here, less cracks, like I said. And I just work my way right over here. Oh, this is coming off nice and smooth. As you can see, there's that antenna piece right here. You get nice and hot, it comes off like butter. Obviously, we don't want it to crack more than what it already is, like I just did, but if it does, no harm. Oh yeah, real quick, I forgot to mention, TWPD is TWPD.bz is our website. We're looking for other techs across the nation. You can already have experience or have no experience, and you can get started and start making some extra money. We do all the marketing for you, and we answer all the calls, and we schedule for you so you can have a full-time job and do your own thing. If you're interested, just give us a call at 801-960-2836, and you can also click on the website and call that main number and ask for me, Dustin, and I'll be glad to take care of you. Anyway, so we're just heating up the sides here. Once again, hot to the touch. Try not to hit the LCD too much. So that way we don't burn it. Pretty straightforward stuff here, nothing too special. All the special stuff is once we get into the device. I'm going to start lifting this glass up a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't fall apart on us. There we go. If it doesn't lift up, you can just run your tool along the sides here slowly, and just don't mark up the LCD. If you mark it up good enough, then it won't come off. But usually most things can come off with some alcohol. Just bend that across just like so. And we can cut this display off where my scissors are. And a knife works. Nothing we need to salvage off this. And don't need to save it. Doesn't need to be returned. I like to clean up my area of all the little glass everywhere so that way it doesn't scratch the back of the iPad. Some people are really picky. So at this point, you should have already told the customer, like, hey, you noticed a really bent corner, and then we want to bend that corner out with a pair of pliers. They don't look good, so I always tell the customer, like, hey, I'm going to have to bend out your corners. It doesn't always look good, and they can file it down if they like. but it's not necessary at all. Luckily for us, this iPad is just top glass that was broken. None of the corners were damaged. Obviously, watch your fingers. I recommend using gloves. I'm not using gloves. I don't know why. Just sometimes they irritate me. It's always fun pulling glass out of your finger, like so. So these are the Wi-Fi antennas I was talking about here. So you see the light halo effect on the screen. That can be cleaned off with alcohol. You'll get those from time to time, just warming it up and keeping it hot. If I kept my tools organized here, I must have fell on the ground. Oh, it's right in front of me. The common right in front. Okay, so we're going to organize these screws. This one has to go back in to the right hole. So I just set it down and organize it. This holds down the screen. If you don't have the screws there, what happens is it can touch the digitizer and create like a bubble or moisture effect inside the device. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have this properly down. Little fluffs are not really important. Okay, now for the challenging part. Okay, so there's tape here, here, and here all on this iPad. When you attempt to pull it up, that tape gets in the way, so we just do it now. I just get right there. It's kind of hard to see, but you want to use a flat tool, that way you don't break your or slice your cables. But we're just getting right above and removing this tape here. So I just like to run my blade right here, and it comes right off pretty easy. But that's that one piece. Now there's another piece of tape right here. It's in black. Just have to get under. And remember, don't dig too deep or you'll just cut right into the LCD and break a $50 LCD. This LCD is actually multiple ways of breaking it. It's pretty easy to break. It's really frustrating, and this is for a tech that's probably, I would say, at least 6 months of experience in the field before working on this. But if you're feeling bold and don't mind breaking the LCD from time to time, go for it. But I would recommend waiting and get more experience. Okay, so that's tape number 1. Here's tape number 2. Just pull that up, just like I did on the other one, and then just dig this old tape off. Slowly but surely here. This is another reason why we want to test this. Hey Alex, what can I do for you? Have I done a few? No. Yeah, they're just the iPad Mini 3s are fused displays, so you have to replace the whole display, and unfortunately they're expensive. So we're gonna have to cut here. Yep, the Mini 3. Yep. Okay. Yep, bye. So what I did there was I was just slicing this across, and that just cuts the cable or the tape. And just do the same thing here. Pretty hard pressure. Now that it's all cut for the most part, just get my tool right here. I like to start right here and get right under the backlight. And then I just do a sawing motion. Okay, and sawing motion this way. Just be really careful not to lift it too high. Just keep it nice and flat. Any higher on the bend there and it would have broke. Okay, now that we got that removed, now we just kind of pull that apart there. See, that tape is actually being removed from right here. So, and from right here. Really important, if you feel a tug, then just try to help the tape off, okay? And just like I said, just be careful not to slice into any of that. Alright, so I just set that aside carefully down, make sure there's no broken glass. So Apple over-engineered this one, and they made way too many screws. So we have to take out all these screws. Now, in between each screw, there's a magnet, and it's designed to demagnetize your screwdriver. So don't use your tool to pull out the screw that got attached. Just use some pliers. And if you get your screwdriver demagnetized, just take a good magnet, this is a fridge magnet, rotate it, and just remagnetize. Nice and strong, especially for this job. That way you can do less frustration. So we just do one screw at a time. Once again, do not touch your screwdriver to any of these magnets, or demagnetize it. Just makes your life more frustrating. So we just, right now we're just unscrewing these and removing this heat plate. That's if the battery's getting too hot, it won't burn the LCD. That's interesting. Apple missed 2 screws. You don't see that very often. This has never been repaired 100%. Another weird thing is there's supposed to be a screw right here. This might be the Retina. This might be the iPad. No, the 2 has less screws. So this might be a different revision of the iPad 1. So I like to kind of just move this around until it comes out. There's a good way of doing it out. And it's just fun to get to that exact spot. Just have to rotate it. There we go. So just back and forth until you do it. The revision might be it's just because of the LTE, but that's weird that they missed the 2 screws. That's unusual for Apple to miss screws. So we're just going to set that aside here. Okay, so we got 3 screws here. 1, 2, and 3. More screws. Thank you, Apple. Take that plate, set that aside. Okay, so we unplug the battery just in case you turned it on. Okay, really important. Just pull the cable up, get as close as you can, and pull up. Move the LCD out of your way. Take your heat gun and count for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, pop this up with your fingernail, or you can use a plastic spudger. I use my fingernail. And then this should have been nice and soft to remove. Don't throw these away, they're actually worth some value, so just give them towards the broken parts that you give. if you are part of TWPD. Okay, so now we have to clean the glue off. Now I have not seen very many videos or anybody who's done this. Then again, I don't really watch videos of iPad minis, so as I've been told, not very many people actually clean the frame off. And I think it's important. The reason why you want to clean off the old glue is so that way the new display sticks on there really good. You gotta be careful with the plastic because the acetone can melt the plastic here. And so I just go to Costco and buy these microfiber rags for $18, about 33 cents, 37 cents a rag, somewhere around there. And they do really good for cleaning with alcohol and acetone. You just scrub, 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 and the glue comes right off. Really hard scrubbing on the corners, especially because you have to really dig hard to get that off. There we go. So I love the smell of acetone. You might notice that none of my videos never miss a thing, and they never fast forward, and I do that to make sure that you're fully trained on how to repair this correctly, and so you know what you're getting yourself into if you're not. Would highly recommend, if you're not a skilled tech, not to do this as a self-repair. That and the iPad too. They're one of the more difficult iPads to do.
Tristan, pause it. Tristan? I said pause it. Come here.
Just getting the excess fuzz out of there. That way it doesn't interfere with anything. Okay, so if you bend out the corners, you want to take your brand new digitizer, fold the cable over, and just test it. Make sure it's going to sit flush with the iPad frame. Should do this with all of them. Okay, now we're going to test it out and make sure that this digitizer actually functions. So you just line up the clip, just like on any iPhone. Usually it doesn't give me this much hassle. Come on. Get in there. There we go. It's always good to leave that piece of glue that's under here, or the piece of adhesive under there. You can replace it with some more adhesive if you removed it. Alright, and then the LCD. Always good to ask the customer for their password. That way you can test it. I forgot, so I couldn't test this fully. So if the screen doesn't come on, make sure your connections are connected properly. Unplug it, plug it back in. If it still doesn't come on, then you might have broken the LCD.
My truck? Why? Why am I getting my truck?
So if the touch doesn't work here, you want to unplug the battery once the screen turns off. You got to make sure the screen's fully off, there's no notifications coming in, and turn it off. If the touch works great, then just turn it off like normal after testing it.
Did you throw up?
Sometimes you have to give it a few seconds to load, but it seems to be functioning. Sometimes you can run with the screen like this, but most of the time not. Yeah, it's not going to let me do any more testing than that. So you're just looking for dead spots when you're doing testing. Make sure there's nothing that's dead, because after you seal this, you'd have to redo the whole thing over again, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so now it's just reassemble. Yeah, sometimes manufacturers make mistakes and they don't put all the screws in. Other times they make revisions to the phone and change the internals slightly. So things can be slightly different, but usually just still straightforward, about the same. I wish they didn't tape down the screen. That would be really nice. But they designed this phone to more break, or this iPad to break if you open it. So if a screw gets away from you, you don't perfectly line it up and it goes onto the magnet, just once again pull that off and away you go again. Just remagnetize your screwdriver every time on this if that happens. That way you have a strong grip on it. Make this look easy, but this part is not easy if you're starting out, because it's really frustrating. These screws like to move around, but if you take my advice, keep a strong magnet next to you. You won't have to worry about any of these screws hitting the magnet. Okay, now put the screen down. Don't worry about touching the screen. We can clean that off here in a second. Okay, let's put our 4 screws back on, starting in the top right.
Tristan, try joining me. It's not letting me join up here.
Okay, now we grab a rag, fresh one, and grab the alcohol. I use 91%. Got 99. Great, good for you. Hard to find. 99 would be better, but this works just as fine. Also, more about the franchising info, you can always look it up on our website, the www.techmd.bz, that's boy zipper, BZ, and you can click on the franchising info right on the homepage and find out more about what we do and what our vision is. My goal is to make sure that everyone makes as much money as possible in the company, so that way everyone is successful. So, as you can see, the screen cleans up pretty good, just with a little effort and scrubbing. Don't worry about every speck. If customers worried about every speck, they should have went and bought a new iPad instead of getting refurbished. We don't have a clean room in our homes, and neither can we make every speck go away, but obviously make every attempt to make this thing as clean as possible, so that way we can make happy customers. That's pretty darn clean here. Okay. Now, I removed the camera filter eye here because it never lines up correctly. It's really pointless anyways. Okay, remove the adhesive tape. I bend this up here so that way it doesn't get stuck. If you have a problems, use this glue here, Gorilla Glue, and it's for glass and wood and plastic. And I just put 4 pieces of Gorilla Glue on the corner. That's fresh adhesive, so it shouldn't require it. One more last check. Get rid of the big hairs. Pull this off here. Line it up. Get ready for it to set down. Push this cable in here. I like to push it in right about there and then close it. And this ensures that it has a good seal right there. Okay. Now also what will help ensure good seal is if you warm it up. Oh, lovely, some of the plastic does it. Now this is rare, I don't see this very often, but the plastic didn't come off the actual glass, so you have to clean it. Just peel it off. I'm glad it happened here, so that way you can see all kinds of unusual things happen to this iPad. This happens like 1 in 30. Always annoying though when you're trying to put a tempered glass on and you have to clean this off. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, well that's cleaned off. Now we can, what I like to do is, this adhesive is heat activated, so I like to just warm it up, just like we were originally taking it off, and just really help seal it. finally, after it's all cleaned up, and you wipe it all clean, you tell the customer when they get home to leave it under pressure for 2 hours, or overnight is best. You put it flat down on like a paper towel or a piece of glass. You can put a book on it and a 10-pound dumbbell. You put a case of water, a case of Coke, just some weight on it so that way we can ensure that this gets a good, proper seal. And if it does lift, like I said, just use that Gorilla Glue. There we go. That ensures a good seal all around. And that's it.